Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining us for this special Love Soldiers episode of Street Soldiers on relationship realities. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. You know, so many aspects of our daily lives have been transformed over the last several years. But what about our most personal relationships? Are there new rules or have our expectations changed? Connecting and sharing love with another human being is one of the great joys of being alive. It's a beautiful dream that many people pursue, no matter what the odds. The latest CDC statistics from 2019 found that every 16 seconds in the United States, someone gets married. Every 42 seconds, someone gets divorced. Couples therapist Dr. Daryl Johnson sees it all.
People are struggling. People are being curious about their own relationship, about their own selves, how to be better in relationships. So even though it's a struggle, even though having a modern relationship in these times is difficult, I feel like people they haven't given up hope.
Women in Hip Hop podcast host Jazzy Bell says styles may change, but the fundamentals for single women looking for lasting love remain.
Lead with respect. Make sure that you're respected first. Know who you are first before entering a relationship, because this world alone will tell you something other than the truth about yourself. So know yourself, know your self-worth. Make sure you demand respect and don't compromise that.
Dollars Unlimited CEO and reality TV star Rich Dollaz has had relationship roller coaster rides play out on national TV. He says good guys often don't get the girls, but it doesn't have to be that way.
I think sometimes you have to change the playground you're playing on. If you're going to places where people aren't acknowledging you or aren't respecting you for who you are, then you might need to go find that place where people are a little bit more substance oriented, right? So that's where you need to be. You need to be where people are like mind.
Let's get some perspective on this from our panel. Joining me for this conversation is Jazzy Bell. She's the creator and host of the Women in Hip Hop podcast. Jazzy, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Also with us is Dr. Daryl Johnson. She's a psychologist and licensed couples therapist. Dr. Daryl, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Also with us is Rich Dollaz. He is the CEO of Dollaz Unlimited, and he's also a reality TV star. Rich, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Pleasure's all mine.
We appreciate it. Dr. Daryl, I want to start with you on this. Have you noticed, because you counsel a lot of couples and you're in the mix there like that, any changes in the way people are relating to their significant others since the pandemic?
100%. I see this all the time in my private practice. I have couples, I have individuals coming in trying to manage. I've seen an influx in, hey, how do we manage now that the pandemic is over, or, it's not as bad as it was before for a lot of people? How do we manage this phase of it? Because I feel like for relationships, they went through the different phases along with, how we handled, going out socially, being around other people and things like that, being around our partners 24/7, being on top of them in the same house, in the same living quarters for such a long time. And now a lot of the rules are being a little bit more flexible these days. And so now it's, how do we navigate this stage of it? How do we, stay safe, but also navigate bonding and connecting again and not getting on each other's nerves and, getting that spark back.
And like, what's too much, what's not enough? Jazzy Bell, what do you think about the state of relationships? What's been happening in your world? Because you talk with a lot of women on your Women in Hip Hop podcast.
I do, yeah. And the struggle is real. So I'm single. A few of my girlfriends are out there single. And I feel like a lot of us, including myself, is looking for love. But I think because we are in the age of social media, and we are in the age of the situationships and stuff like that, that a lot of people aren't really looking to have what my parents have, essentially, or, commit in that sense. So it's like the side chick era, and I'm sure, Rich, you could probably speak to that, when it comes to I don't know if you still claiming the creep squad, but you had a moment when that was a thing. So it's like, put it like this, it's still a thing out here in these streets where a lot of men just aren't trying to commit.
Rich, what about that? What do you think about that?
I think that today's relationships, because of social media, because people are so competitive, everything has become transactional. Relationships are transactional, whether it be, people feeling entitled to things that they probably don't deserve because their relationship hasn't gotten to that level yet, or people just because of the way you said swipe left, you find a date today, you meet somebody today, it's going to dinner, and then it's whatever happens after that. So things have now become to the point now since the pandemic where everybody was locked in the house and couldn't go out and couldn't do the things. They got addicted to these sites, to these phones. And now everything is through the phone and OnlyFans and these dating sites and all of that. So things are becoming more transactional, and that's kind of killed the relationship as we know it.
Dr. Darrell, what about that bit, what Rich is saying in terms of the, got much more dependent of things online, of the whole digital universe. Have people forgotten how to flirt? Have they forgotten how to feel somebody's vibe? Is it just all about reading the credentials, checking the labels, and seeing what they measure up to be?
Absolutely. We definitely have much more flexibility and freedom now. I like to consider it as freedom of choice. And yes, we were very dependent in those apps, the dating apps and things, and social sites. Those became way more acceptable during the pandemic. That was really the only way to date and get to know someone in the beginning phases of the pandemic, even though they existed way before, 2020. But they were more acceptable nowadays. And so with the freedom of choice, with being able to swipe right, left, whatever, and kind of having that instant connection, or having that dopamine hit of, oh, someone swiped for me and we connected and things like that. I think people are really after that dopamine boost. Let's not even get into Instagram and likes and comments and followers and things like that. But as far as relationships and kind of having that instant gratification, the apps and the different social sites definitely provided that and gave us that freedom of choice.
Jesse, what about that?
I agree with both of them, especially when it comes to instant gratification and it comes to it being transactional, like Rich said. I was just on a date recently, and as soon as the bill was paid for, it's like, so when are we gonna? I'm like, do what?
I bought you dinner, so now I get to sleep with you,
right? I mean, it's weird because he tried to say it like as if he was being respectful. But again, it just goes back to what Dr. Darrell was saying when it comes to that instant gratification. I'm like, bro, I could have paid for my own meal myself. Right. So I don't owe you anything. But what is it about the state of dating that we're in when you feel, again, entitled, like Rich said, to something more? This is just the first date. I mean, calm down, brother. So it's like, it's scary out there in these streets.
We'll be right back. Stay with us. Rich, when your relationships and emotions and all these things were being played out on TV, what was the hardest thing for you to deal with?
I tell people this all the time. Reality TV is reality television, and obviously you're living your life in front of millions of people. The problem with that is that things that you could probably fix one-on-one, you can't fix them because they happened on television and the world sees them. Right. So now you've included the whole world in your business. So it's almost like you cheated or you flirted or something happened with a guy. And I could probably accept it if in fact the world didn't see it. Oh. And now I got 50,000 people in my DMs and everybody has an opinion in the blogs and everybody's talking crazy. And it's like, yo, you got to leave, or vice versa. Girls are with me. Girls will probably be like, something that I did that they probably could have accepted had it been a one-on-one and we got past it. But with the world, it's like, oh my God, he's Creep Squad. He's at it again, girl. You got to let him go. And it becomes a thing where people aren't allowing their own personal stuff to help you get past. Now it becomes what every Tom, Dick, and Jane is saying about the situation, and you probably aren't going to be able to get past it. And that's kind of how it works.
Dr. Darrell, what about that? And also one of the things that people have been talking about that I've been hearing and just this come up in conversations with friends and stuff is just the whole situationship. Like one person in the quote unquote relationship feels like it's a relationship and it's really progressing, and to the other person, it's a situationship. How do you define the difference?
First of all, any relationship is hard, but to make it easier is through open and honest communication. And so a situationship is really along the lines of friends with benefits. It's out of convenience. It is, you know, we're not official. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend. We will do our own thing. We don't ask too much questions. We won't put any labels on it. But I could hit you up when I'm in town, or, you know, it could be 9, 10 o'clock, whatever. Hey, you want to hang out? You want to come over Netflix and chill? Cool. I know she's not going to go, or I know he's not going to go through my phone, or I know it's not going to be a whole lot of drama because we have this unsaid kind of agreement. And yeah, you'll leave. And then I might talk to you another, you know, 2 months from now, but it'll be almost like there's no time lost. And, you know, we kind of just do what we do, and it's okay.
Does that work for people, or do you see people getting hurt behind that?
Initially, they'll think it works, and then the hurt comes.
Never
Does
works.
it never work?
Nah, it never
Jazzy,
works.
you're shaking your head. What about that?
Well, she's scared me right now because I feel like I'm kind of in a situation.
Oh wow. That's Bell.
New York too. New York is so big. It's not like other places where you cannot run into people. You know, you cannot run into people here, right?
Right. And I'm going to be honest, it's not necessarily a situationship. I think what it is, because she defined it so perfectly, is that I'm open to it, you know, because although I may want, again, like I said earlier, what my parents have, I want a committed relationship, but it just seemed like with the state of where we're at right now, when it comes to dating, it's just not there. So what do? Okay, you either spin in the block, which we all know is going back to an ex or two just for a good time. You know, sometimes that works. And sometimes it doesn't, like Rich said. But then sometimes it's like, all right, you can meet someone that has a mutual understanding and say, you know what, this is what it is. You don't want to be able to be in a situation where you're committed and you're falling short of your commitment. So this is what we're going to do, right? So I've grown to be open-minded to a situationship. I'm not necessarily in one today, but I can't lie and say I haven't thought about it. I won't be in one tomorrow.
Rich, what is it about? One of the is monogamy possible in this day and age, in your opinion?
Absolutely, because I would never want to paint everybody with the same brush, right? So there's some people who still believe in monogamy. Now, do I think that this is where it was years ago when monogamy was the majority? Now I think monogamy is the minority. It's so easy. So many people have access that monogamy becomes very, 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 very difficult. The way relationships are, we just talked about being transactional. We just talked about situationships. We just talked about all these different things that would literally counteract being in a monogamous relationship. It's so easy in today's society, today's culture, not to be monogamous, that it's almost like we're like literally, at least, come on, we're having a whole conversation about being accepting of situationships and transactional relationships, because that's where dating has gone.
But hearing you today just speak about relationships, I mean, I feel it seems like you sound like a changed man. So I know when Lisa just asked you, you know, is monogamy still a thing? Does it still exist? You say, yeah, I feel like it do, but you didn't say that's something you necessarily want.
I am not going to say that I'm going to be in a monogamous relationship until I find the person I want to be monogamous with. Does that make sense for you guys?
Okay.
I mean,
everybody wants that.
Dr. Daryl, I need your opinion on this, because we see what about is monogamy like kind of an antique idea now?
Yeah, marriage and monogamy, they're not the standard anymore. They are not the standard. They're choices that we make based on where we're at in life, based on our value systems. Rich, I like that you brought up the fact that we're having this whole conversation around, you know, acceptable ways of being in a relationship with someone. The fact that we're all, you know, pausing, we're questioning, we are trying to like gather information to make informed decisions that like what's right for us and how we want to live our lives. And I think we're moving from individual thinking, individualism, to relational thinking. And so we're valuing everything from our physical, mental health, our spiritual health, relational, all of that. in addition to being able to think more clearly about what we actually want, not what society's telling us, not what we see on TV and movies and what we're supposed to do or how we're supposed to think, but we are being able to set our own expectations from ourselves and our partners, and however that may look. And I think that's the essence of what a modern relationship or modern dating looks like.
Is being honest about what you want, or what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Jazzy, what about that?
Yeah, I'm all for honesty. And I think that's why I said earlier that I'm open to the thought of a situationship, which I guess essentially is dating. But I think to what we talked about a second ago with Rich asking him about monogamy, and he would just kind of gave a blanket statement to that. I think what can help us all come to grips and to terms with what it is we want is if we date with intentions, right? And we have to be honest with what that is. So if you're out here in these streets and you're dating, I think it's important to set your intentions out the gate. So by me saying, yes, I would love a committed relationship. One day I would love to have kids. I think I want to run into people with those same intentions. However, in the same breath, dating is dating. So if I'm seeing somebody and we hook up because, again, I want to be able to fulfill my needs, then that's just where I'm at in that moment. But I'm honest about that. So I think I lead with honesty and I lead with intentions.
Rich, in terms of your advice to men, let's start with that. From all of your experiences, what 1 or 2 or 3 tips would you give men?
1, you got to be yourself. You got to be who you are. 2, you undersell and over-deliver. And that's super duper important. I don't think people understand that. If you come in and you try to sell so high, over time, you're going to under-deliver. You can't overwhelm somebody. That you have to build to that. And that's what these transactional relationships and the way people look at relationships today is so wrong, because they lead with all the wrong things. Lead with you, and then all the other stuff, all the ancillary peripheral stuff will come to you. Or the woman will get everything she's looking for if you lead with yourself. Because if you lead with yourself and she likes who you are, then you get a chance to provide all those other things without her expecting those other things. See, that's what I hate about relationships today, is that people expect so much, but deliver so little. And the third thing is, just remember, man, you got to go how you come. You can't go into something and be dishonest and think that you can bamboozle somebody for an extended period of time. You have to go into the relationship with intentions and leading with the right intentions, and then that's how you will walk away from that relationship, whether it works or not.
Jazzy, what about you? Tips for the ladies out there, the single ladies.
I don't even know how to follow that. That was my drop right there.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk about my boy grew up. Okay. Well, I feel like a lot of what you said definitely can be in reverse when it comes to the women. But what I do feel that women should take heed to is don't compromise who you are and your moral compass. Like if you're walking into this relationship and you know it's something that you wouldn't take from anybody in the past, present, future, like don't take it. Like know who you are before going into this relationship also, because you don't want this person to change your way of thinking and who you are. And be confident in that, and have your standards of a woman and be okay with that.
Dr. Dale, final question. Do you feel that there's hope for where we're at now? Because you don't hear stories in our generations now where people are saying, okay, I was with this person for 20 years and I hated them the whole time, but I stayed married because that's what society or my family told me I had to do. Are there things that are going on now that you feel hopeful about?
I do, because there are a few of my couples that are actually going against what their families, what their religion has told them, and actually being curious and exploring their relationship. Why are we still together? Before it was, divorce is wrong, we're not doing that. But now I feel empowered to make this choice myself. So I'm feeling hopeful, as long as people keep that in mind.
Thanks for joining us for the special Love Soldiers episode of Street Soldiers on Relationship Realities. You can share it and watch it again on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page. Remember, use your mind as your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace, love, and justice for all.